assassination. It is super murder. It is at every intersection of history. It changes the hopes, fears, and dreams of millions forever. It takes the best and the worst, the brightest and the cruelest. But where murder kills one, assassination kills us all.
Murder usually takes place in secret, but assassination almost never does. It demands a public forum.
The assassinations are murders that are committed on a much larger historical scale. They are meant to change history.
From Caesar to Lincoln, from Franz Ferdinand to Kennedy and King, we see a world turned upside down at the thud of a bullet, the slash of a dagger, the blast of a bomb. To understand the drama, we must know the times, the victims, and especially the assassins. Were they unbalanced or inspired? Ignorant tools or heroic avengers? Were they divine messengers or meaningless accidents of history?
One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter.
The assassin serves eagerly. He serves a God of love who commands murder. He serves a political idea so necessary that all who oppose it must die. He serves inner voices of madness whispering urgently for killing, and often he serves a rage at invisibility so painful that death seems a small price to escape it. From 1914 through 1945, a string of assassination plots burned across Europe to set off a ghastly chain of explosions that obliterated millions. Ancient ruling dynasties, from the Habsburgs to the Russian Romanovs, would vanish in blood forever. The plot for the assassination of a monster would make heart-stopping drama and kill tens of thousands in its failure. And at the end of these fatal decades, there was no doubt, assassination is murder that changes the world.
There is power in the bullet. There is power in what comes after.
Dealing with an enemy who doesn't know what nonviolence is, as far as I'm concerned, you're wasting your time.
Why did you fall out with Elijah Muhammad? Well, some internal disagreements and differences that I would rather not go into, but I think that it will come out in public before long.
It is complete independence that we want.
The funeral coach, drawn by members of the Indian services, battled its way along the 4.5-mile route, amid the cries of a nation overwhelmed with grief.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Not continue.
The basic thing about a man is not his specificity, but his fundamental. Not the texture of his hair or the color of his skin, but his eternal dignity and worth.
Trials in Moscow for plots against the life of Stalin have made another headline for the ex-chief of Soviet Russia.
Washington, where two fanatical revolutionaries attempted to shoot their way in to assassinate President Truman.
The most powerful man in Europe today is Charles de Gaulle. He is a man under constant threat of assassination by a band of fanatics.
Then came the shot that rang out over the world, and anarchists fired at Roosevelt 5 times.
Pictures which were shown to the German public after the bomb plot at Hitler's headquarters in July.
It is a necessity in many areas that the membership maintains its secrecy.
Still looking for the man who killed the Prime Minister.
Still looking for him. Yes.
There he goes. There he goes.
American presidents have been targeted for assassination more than 20 times in history. 4 presidents, Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, and JFK, have been assassinated. This is a recap of the 8 failed attempts that almost succeeded. In August 1864, President Lincoln was riding in Washington, D.C. at night alone, as he often would, when an unidentified gunman fired a single rifle shot that passed through his top hat, missing him by inches. Nearly 30 years earlier, on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, an unemployed house painter named Richard Lawrence approached President Andrew Jackson and pulled a gun on him, but his weapon misfired. An enraged Jackson closed on his attacker and landed several blows with his cane, but Lawrence was still able to pull out a second pistol and pull the trigger. Incredibly, it too misfired. The Smithsonian Institute later determined that the odds of both pistols misfiring was 1 in 125,000. 3.5 years after leaving office, Teddy Roosevelt ran for president as a member of the Progressive Party. Before a campaign speech in Milwaukee, a saloon keeper shot him once in the chest. Roosevelt's 50-page speech and an eyeglass case slowed the bullet and saved his life. The stubborn Roosevelt, determined he hadn't been mortally wounded, still gave the speech, speaking for 90 minutes and even showing off his bloody shirt to the crowd, declaring that
it takes more than that to kill a bull moose.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidency was almost over before it began, after a gunman opened fire on him in Miami 3 weeks before he was sworn in. Roosevelt was unhurt, but 4 others were wounded, and Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak was killed. The mayor was an enemy of mobster Al Capone, and it is believed that he, and not FDR, was the target. In 1981, Ronald Reagan was walking back to his limousine in the Capitol when he and 3 other men were shot by John Hinckley Jr., who claimed afterward that he wanted to kill the president to impress then-teenage actress Jodie Foster. No one died, but Press Secretary James Brady was permanently disabled and became the catalyst behind the Brady Bill, which instituted federal background checks for firearm purchasers. 3 months after President H.W. Bush handed the presidency over to Bill Clinton, 14 men believed to be working for Saddam Hussein smuggled explosives into Kuwait to assassinate him with car bombs during a visit to Kuwait University as revenge for defeating Iraq in the Gulf War. The plot was foiled when Kuwaiti officials found one of the bombs and arrested the suspected assassins. In 1996, President Bill Clinton's motorcade was traveling through Manila, about to cross a bridge, when intelligence officers allegedly intercepted a message suggesting that an attack was coming. The Secret Service director ordered a reroute away from the bridge, and an intelligence team later discovered a bomb under the structure. The American government's investigation of the plot revealed that its mastermind was a Saudi terrorist living in Afghanistan named Osama bin Laden. In 2005, George W. Bush was giving a speech in the Republic of Georgia when a man pulled the pin and threw a hand grenade that landed 61 feet from where Bush was standing. However, a red handkerchief that was used to conceal it was wrapped so tightly around it that the firing pin didn't deploy. The attacker melted back into the crowd, but was apprehended months later and confessed to the assassination attempt.